Brokenmoser here, and today we got Trent Evans here in this call. This is going to be fun. Trent's a digital marketing consultant in our 6K Success program, and he's been doing websites for a while and just kind of rolling a little bit more into digital marketing retainers. And so I just wanted to bring him on, just kind of have him share a little bit his background, a little bit what it's looked like now to shift his business into some of the more things that we teach in 6K Success, and just kind of give us just a framework for kind of his story and how he's been doing it. So he's got a cool one. I'm excited for this one. Trent, thanks for being on, man.
I appreciate having me, man.
All right, dude. So give us the background here. What were you kind of doing before we met, before 6K Success, and kind of what did life look like then?
Yeah, so we'll do the fast version, but it's, we were doing web design right beforehand here, doing web design, SEO, and at least from my perspective, had a pretty stable business. Income was stable. Obviously paying all the bills. Was kind of wanting more. Wasn't completely knocking it out of the park as much as I'd want, and I was always looking for a way to get around that. Let me find the next client. But my background comes from I was started in finance actually. Managed a pretty good sized book of business. Was independent. As a financial manager, had my Series 7, 66, all that fun stuff. And just personal circumstances led me that I kind of had to shift direction to get out of it. And that's when I got into marketing. I said, all right, I've done this for myself, helped build my own book of business. Well, why not give it a crack at doing it for somebody else?
So what was that like? That's interesting. What was that like going from kind of a, traditional business model, very, everybody knows, how that model works, nothing fancy you can probably do with it. What was like shifting to online from that?
Honestly, what the hardest part was for me, it's going to sound silly, was the discipline aspect of it. There's so much free time when you work for yourself. And, you initially start out, whether you have an office out and about or you have a home office or, blend between the two, whatever it is, you got to manage that time. It's not like quite the same, like, well, I have client meetings all day long, so I have to be in the office. And, I know the stock market's open this time, they end this time. So I got to be pretty much on call for anybody that has any questions and stuff like that. So that was for me the biggest challenge.
Yeah, dude, I know for me it was like I'd wake up and I just would have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
I'm available. I'm ready to grind, and I have no idea which door to open today. I don't know whether I'm supposed to send an email or call or whatever. And
for sure.
It was like the freedom was like killing.
It was tough. You had to try and go back to the old school thoughts and all right, just let's pound the pavement. Let's walk and talk and pound the payment, make the phone calls.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Okay, so you kind of shifted on, and you said you did websites and SEO. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been doing that here?
I was doing that in 2009.
Okay.
So I've been doing that up until we still do it now. It's still a part of the business.
Yeah.
It's a good source to get clients in the door. You get their trust, and then now we can introduce them to digital marketing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like the old school of add another quiver in the or another arrow, in the quiver.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so even like before 6K Success here. So when did you join 6K Success?
Started in, I want to say middle of March.
Okay, cool.
Middle of March 2016,
a little over a month ago. And before that, what did your business look like? I mean, you were doing websites, you had some retainer SEO deals or what?
All our SEO deals, those that we had on a month-to-month basis. But it was interesting. I was trying to transition out of just doing the one and done websites, because anybody that's in web design knows, when you build the site, most people don't do a subscription model. We didn't. We do a one and done. You build it, you have the project. When the project's done, you got to go find a new client. You might be able to sell them on SEO, but our SEO budget, we were able to automate a lot of it, so it wasn't high dollar ticket stuff with our SEO budget.
Gotcha. And how much would you sell a website for?
We were selling sites. Our base site started at $2,500, $3,500.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know. Some people say it's on the high end. Some people say it's middle.
Yeah.
For us, we just found it was a good sweet spot. It fit the time we put in. We felt like we were making good money, and the clients were happy.
Cool. And then how much were you doing SEO for?
SEO, like I said, we were able to automate a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have to. We didn't have to actually do a lot of it manually every month. But we'd do a setup fee of $500 to $700 just to get everything in the system. And then we'd run anywhere from probably $200 to $500 a month, depending on, volume of keywords, stuff like that.
Cool. So it's money. It's not a whole lot of work, but it's also you're not gonna retire on it.
It's also
It's
I'm also
something.
not going to hit that vision that I have in my head of where I want.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you were doing all that, seems like, was it just you or did you have employees or what?
I just did more the contractor
Some
route.
contractors
Had
that kind of
people
do
that I
stuff?
worked with, some people that if it's something whether it's a time issue or well, I need a programmer for this. We had a bunch of people I've known for years that I work with.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Okay, so then what were you feeling before 6K Success? Like what led you to that? Why were you looking for a little different model?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is I was looking to get out of the one and done thing. And we were actually, and we have some clients already in this boat, but we were actually moving towards a model of working as branding consultants, to be able to really work with the brand, identify who they are, what they do, what they differentiates them from their competitors, and be able to make sure that everything that they were doing matched that. And the biggest thing that I was struggling with is getting in front of these competitors or not competitors, excuse me, these potential customers. Because when you're doing a web design job, it's a different type of lead. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, versus going and meeting with a business owner for a consulting project.
Right.
Because a
Right.
lot of your just basic web design, it could be anything from a mom and pop to a 250, 500 employee company. There's not your market is
Yeah.
vastly different versus consulting. Where I was at least, I'm not going to take on a Fortune 1000 company. I didn't have the capacity or the abilities and everything to
Right.
do that yet. But at the same time, you're not going to do a mom and pop because they're not going to be able to. They're not going to have the budget to afford your expertise on a month-to-month basis.
Yep. Totally. Totally. So you were wanting to switch into like I guess like what were you feeling like in your business? Did you feel
Oh,
stuck? Were you just like
yeah, it's what it was. It felt like it was still the grind. I couldn't, and then not the grind from a perspective of everybody knows you got to put the time in to get the results, but it felt like the grind of just kind of sloshing through the mud. Like you hit on the head, like you're stuck. You're just kind of spinning the wheels, and you can get the projects, but you can't do enough to get the business going to get growth.
Yep.
That's what I
Yep.
was looking for is growth, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Gotcha. And growing doing websites is pretty dang tough.
Oh, it's hard.
I mean, you got to have layers of contractors and back and forth client management
Yep.
systems. Like, I imagine the margins get pretty thin as
They
you
did.
scale it.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem is margins get thin because you either have to do all the work yourself. Now you're back to 60, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Or you got to go and hire or pay a bunch of people.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so then did you find Six Success through Facebook
Facebook ad.
ad? Facebook
Facebook
ad?
ad.
Nice. A lot of
And I'll
people.
admit it. It was, so I got the Facebook ad. And I went to the first one. And I went to the class, the training, and I'm walking through it. And I'm like, all right, it's pretty cool. And I'm like, who's this Dave guy? I'm like, who is this guy?
Some joker.
I'm like, what's this guy doing? So I'm like, all right. So I do a little research, and I'm seeing he's in like the different magazines. I'm like, now I got to research the magazine. I've never heard of this guy, and I'm almost somewhat embarrassed at my own lack of not being out and aware. So I'm like, oh, he can't be huge or anything because I've never heard of the guy. So I'm like, who are these magazines? Did he pay to get these articles in here?
Dude,
So,
that's awesome.
So I ended up going through the program, actually the hour training class, about 4 times.
Really? Like
Because
you
I'm
signed
like,
up for it or you're watching the replay?
I kept signing up for the new classes. I wouldn't get the live ones. I'm listening to other people's questions.
Dude, people do a ton of due diligence sometimes I found out. Like I don't
That's
know.
the biggest struggle is that there's always all these different programs.
Yeah.
There's all these different things. Everyone says, go to this sales training class, go to this seminar, go to this webinar. And you're like, which one actually works?
Yep. Totally.
And I'll tell you the thing that stood out to me the most was the ability that you guys have and the system you have in place to be able to get leads.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Why was that important to you?
Because of my experience and having to just the grind and the time it takes to do the old school, whether it's using the Black Dragon making phone calls or it's pounding the pavement, going door to door, pressing the flesh type thing, the time it takes to get quality leads going that method is what was, I think, the biggest restrictor in trying to grow the business. I mean, obviously outside of the web design margins, but I mean from the branding side. When you're
Gotcha.
trying to go into residual, it's just so much time involved.
So you just you knew you were looking for a lead generation system as
That
well
was
as
it.
kind of a little different model. Gotcha. Gotcha.
And obviously, I was starting to do some did some Facebook and Google AdWords marketing as well.
Yeah.
And so that was a good tie there, and I figured I would be able to learn and kind of develop the craft, if you will, as well.
Yeah, totally. Okay, dude, very cool, very cool. So you bought the program,
Bought the program,
got in.
It's my fiance.
And what was she thinking?
She's like, she said, "Are you wasting money?" That's exactly her first word. She goes, "Is it really worth the money?"
And you told her,
I'm like, I believe it is. I'm like, I believe it's going to be a good, solid investment. I mean, the money is not a huge amount. It's more about. She's like, "Are you wasting the money?"
yeah.
I'm like, I researched this Dave guy. I think he's pretty legit.
Did your due diligence?
I'm pretty sure. So
I'm not just some internet scammer that just kind of puts a few videos out there and then leaves you on your own. Dude, very cool, very cool. Dude, by the way, congrats on getting engaged and married here.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, it's coming up in 3 weeks.
Dude, very cool. Yeah, I'm getting married here in 2 months. So
yeah, you're right behind it.
A month after you, man. You'll pave the way for me. Okay, cool. So, and then, like, what was your thoughts when you got into 6K Success? And what was kind of first impressions? You know, what do you think about it now? What have you learned? Whatever.
The funny part is when I got in, I couldn't run fast enough. So I first got in, and Chris could attest to this. I'm emailing Chris like every day, and he's got to be going, "Oh my God, who is this guy? What's he doing?"
Yeah.
And but so I said, "All right. The one thing that I know is that I don't. If the system's not broken, don't fix it. I don't want to reinvent the wheel." So I said, "All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the program. I'm just going to copy it word for word, step by step. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see if this guy actually knows what he's talking about and see if it works." And so I said, "All right, I'm going to go day one." Then I went I did the 7-day startup program.
Yeah.
And I remember being in day 2, and I'm like, I emailed Chris, "This is killing me, man. Can I do the other modules, or do I have to wait till day 7? He's like, "No, dude, you're good." He's like, "The 7 days is just to keep you on track." He's like, "Do all the modules you want." So I flew through all the modules in like 2 days.
Gotcha.
And I signed up for the auto profile viewing, and signed up for all the different stuff in the lead generation techniques.
Right.
And I'm cranking. Day 3, I'm already off, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm messaging, and I'm following, and it's funny. Within I'd say 3 days, I get my first bite, and someone's like, "Hey, I saw you reviewing, and wanted to connect, wanted to talk a little bit about what exactly did you do." And I think that a lot of that is a result of the different optimization techniques we talked about.
Totally.
So I get that, and I get going through that, and they're like, "Well, great." I never hear from them again. I'm like, "What?" It's a typical sales process. Poof. They disappear. They're gone.
Yeah.
Just like a phantom. Like, whoosh.
By the way, if you follow up on those people, a lot of times they'll come back. Shoot that guy a message here in like a month.
Yeah,
and absolutely. A lot of times, dude, they'll be like, "Oh gosh, yeah, things got crazy. Thanks so much for following up. We're ready to move forward. Just let's hop on a call and talk specifics." Yeah,
I'm gonna do that. That's a good idea.
Oh, dude, it works great. So always keep those people in mind on a spreadsheet or a CRM or something.
I have them in my little file over here on the computer. Perfect. It's just off to the side.
Perfect.
But so then I just kept messaging, and all of a sudden, a lady reaches out to me. I didn't even message. Sees my profile, and she's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you." So it's it's a Thursday afternoon. I'm Eastern time. It's like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I guess the evening. She's like, "Can you call me in the morning?" I'm like, "Sure, I'd love to call you in the morning. We can do that."
Yeah.
And she was here local. I'm down in Florida. And so I call her the next morning. She's like, "So I read through your LinkedIn profile, and I like what you have to say." She's like, "Here's my business," and she runs a premium high-end, like ultra high-end interior design company. They work with a lot of billionaires and really high-end millionaires on doing anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 design jobs. And I'm like,
wow,
kicker!
Awesome.
All right, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna be my first client. Fantastic. Well, my first client in the program, because like I said, I'd done a couple other little ones here and there for Facebook, Google.
Totally.
But so we go, and I'm taking the different scripts we have, and I'm just like, all right, like I said, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel word for word, just follow the process. So I used the proposal that you guys have in the program, and wrote out the basic proposal. Didn't change the wording. I'm like, God, okay, I'm just going to trust the guy. I would change this. I would change that. All right, I'm just going to trust him. And she goes, "Great, sounds good." She goes, "Can you swing by Monday morning and pick up a check?"
Oh my gosh, that's awesome!
So I swing by Monday morning, and it's an $1,800 check for a Google AdWords account and a $1,000 setup fee for the landing pages, and we're using ClickFunnels.
Beautiful.
So I'm like, wow! And this was a couple weeks ago. We've now got the campaigns built out, and we're finishing out the landing pages, and we're getting ready to go live with it. And she's fired up.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it was all super smooth.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there's little hiccups.
What were the hiccups?
The hiccups is kind of more me like saying something the wrong way or me putting my foot in my mouth. And the bottom line is, I know this from sales. It's like the customer buys from who they trust.
Yeah.
And they buy people they like.
Yeah.
It's not even so much about. It is about the content, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so, I had a good connection with her, and she trusts me. And so, you make a little mistake here and there, and you catch it, and the client doesn't hear it, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
They didn't catch that. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But
that's good for people watching this. They're like,
Yeah.
how do I pull off a consultation without making a mistake? And it's like, without making a mistake, dude, I make mistakes every consult I ever do. And like,
absolutely.
again, it's just fine. It's just like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, Like we teach you a certain way to do it where like, you're focusing on them. They're talking. They're doing like
that's
85 or 90% of the talking. You just build some trust, build some rapport, and then make an offer and show them the price. And it's like, if you do it right, you don't really have a whole lot of room to mess up.
No.
But even when you do, it's like still no big deal.
Well, it's funny because, like you said, followed the system. My biggest problem, I talk too much.
Gotcha. You're just talking. You're talking 85%. You heard the opposite.
I'm like, yeah, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to build out your landing pages. We have our targeting. We can even use your email list and target through Facebook. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, wait a minute, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Stop talking.
Oh, man. When I
So I dial it back.
When I first started, when I first started, dude, I would just talk all the time. I'd talk about every single backlinking thing I'd ever read, just anything I'd ever read about. I'm like just using it all. And like now, again, I've signed some clients that haven't asked a word about me. And after they sign, they'll ask me like a week later, they'll say, by the way, they're like, tell me about your company. Like, I just realized I never even asked. And they've already like signed and, sent over money. And I'm just like, oh, all right, well, let me tell you about us,
Well, it's funny you say it. That's exactly what she did. I mean, we're signed up. And she's like, oh, so I'm handing you this check, but tell me a little about what you do. She's like, what else do you guys do? I know you were
That's
talking
amazing.
But
That's amazing.
Do other stuff? I'm like, yeah, we do this, this, and this. And she's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, then you say a few things, and they say, okay, great, just kind of thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good sales. That is good sales,
But since then, I mean, I've got the thing that surprised me the most is how effective the lead generation system is.
So you've been getting leads on LinkedIn?
Yeah, and I use the LinkedIn method you guys talked about, and you kind of preach in the system, and it works. It really does. I've been in the program now right at 6 weeks. So I'm at my second billing now coming up with this client.
Yeah.
And I've got right now, like I told you before we got on, I just got another $4,000. I've got almost $20,000
in proposals.
In proposals. And we're talking 2/3 of that. Obviously they have some setup fees, but 2/3 of that is recurring revenue.
That's awesome.
So I'm 6 weeks in and I've got, $15,000 roughly or $14,000 in recurring revenue proposals.
That's awesome.
That I'll probably close at least half of them.
Yeah. Beautiful, dude.
It's awesome, man.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, just what's kind of been your experience with like the community too? So there's like the training. I mean, have you been able to connect with people in the community?
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Well, it took me a little while. I joined the Facebook page, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of watch, and then my big mouth, I'm not good at staying quiet, so of course I'm gonna jump in right away. And it's funny, nobody looked at you like, hey, who's this guy? All of a sudden he's jumping in, he's commenting on stuff. What's going on here?
Yeah.
But it was surprising how much the moment I jumped in and commented a couple times, then I'm looking on LinkedIn, I'm looking on Facebook, and I'm seeing there's a friend request on Facebook. There's LinkedIn requests from guys in the group. And I was very surprised to see how many guys reached out and they wanted to connect and learn about you, what you do. Hey, here's what I do. Maybe we can work together.
That's cool.
And it's not even about, the thing that surprised, it wasn't even about everybody getting business. It was about them saying, here's how you can do it. Here's how I've done it. And the cool part was I learned a long time ago, you celebrate with what other people do, and it kind of comes back to you.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing I saw from the group, is that very surprising at how much celebration there was for everybody else getting jobs.
Dude, so true.
I can go on today and look at the group, and I think we saw 2 new ones today. People are like, yeah, I got my first deal. Yeah. And it's got like 55 or 60 likes and like 35 comments of people going, yeah, great job, way to go, man, that's awesome.
It is like crazy supportive. Yeah,
it is.
And people are like
really
meeting up in person now, and like I saw somebody asked us They said Chris. They were like, "Hey, can I open up a 6K success chapter in New York City?" And they had like
That's cool.
they had like some Facebook group for it. And I was like, "What chapters are like popping up places? This is cool."
That is
People are
cool.
just enjoying meeting other marketers, other entrepreneurs out there.
It's going to become the business fraternity.
Ah, dude, totally. But I think that's cool. I think it's like super supportive. I feel
Yeah.
like everybody in there, if you need help, you can like get help. Whether it's it's not always from me. I mean, a lot of times it's just
No.
from other like sweet people in the group who are like, hey, hop on a call with me. I'll practice your sales script with you, whatever.
Well, it's funny because initially I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I'm in the group. I'm like, where's Dave and Chris? So I don't see him here. And then I'm like, I got to ask him a question. I'm like, all right, I'll ask the group. Maybe they'll know. And all of a sudden, like all these group answers come out. And then I'm like, oh, hey, Dave, I got a question. I tag Dave. And next thing I know, here's another answer from Dave. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
These guys are here. It's not just like a phantom
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Because,
totally.
that's how you normally think. You
Yeah.
normally think if someone's there, they're not going to be attentive. They're not going to be available.
Yep. Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was in the thing, and I actually sent you a text and got a response. I was in the message when you're like, "Yeah, here's my," in one of the video things, you're like, "Text me what you want."
Yeah.
Like, text me what
Or
your
no, it
goals
was an
are.
email. It was an email we sent
It's
out.
an email. That's what it was. I'm like, did you actually just send it a sellout to like all these people?
Dude, I get crazy amounts of text messages. I try to get back to them. I usually get backlogged. But no, that's cool, man. No, we really enjoy working with you guys, and it's a fun crew, and yeah, we love kind of helping out. But it is cool how the group's just kind of self run too, and there's like
Yeah.
I mean, there's some like serious marketers in there that are making like
Really is.
tons of money, and it's pretty cool that they're all in there like saying, hey, yeah, give me a call, I'll hop on a call and talk you through your niche,
Sure.
all that kind of stuff, which is cool.
And I mean, you look at the couple master classes we've had from the I can't remember his name. Forgive me now. The guy who does the
Nahal?
HVAC.
Oh, Ken.
Yeah, Ken in there, and obviously Nahal there doing
Uh-huh.
the gyms and his whole presentation. Then you got Phillips already in there giving his advice.
Yep.
You're like, look at these guys, like, these guys they do a great job.
Yep.
You got Ken's doing, what was he doing, 50 grand a month,
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Phillips at like 20 or 25. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
These guys are all there to give you advice, to help out, whatever you want. I was really surprised.
Cool. No, that's cool, man. I'm glad you feel supported there. So, where are you kind of going with all this then? I'm kind of curious. You've kind of, restructured a few things, obviously signing clients.
Sure.
Like, how big do you want this business to be, let's say, like 12 months from now?
Well, my goal, to be very direct, by the end of the year is to, I want to open January 1 with $25K a month in recurring revenue.
Nice.
So,
Already January 1, making 25K.
Absolutely. You roll out, you got a straight 400K for the year already planned out in revenue.
You're such a financial advisor. You're just thinking,
can't help it.
you're just thinking, how much trail do I have going into next year?
That's exactly what it's starting.
That's
the
how
year.
I got a bunch of friends who are financial advisors. That's how they always talk. They're like, January 1, I want to already make 100 grand. And it's like,
That's exactly what it is. You're like, all right, so I know this year I got 400 grand if I start January 1.
Yeah.
But no, the way I look at it is, if I can add anywhere between 2 and 4 new customers a month, I'll hit that number.
yep.
You think of the big number on the end, and you're like, wow, that's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought before, thinking 25 grand doing marketing, it's a lot.
Yep.
But
Yep.
at the same time, when you do it the right way, you can get there really quick.
It's amazing how when you sell something that's high priced, high ticket, you don't have to do a whole lot to get to a really big number
No,
when it's
you don't.
recurring.
And it's not as hard as people think to sell high ticket items.
Yeah.
It's about knowing how to sell it, which is what you guys go through a lot in the system, and it's about knowing or being confident in that what you're selling brings them benefit.
Yep. Yep. Totally.
You have those two, everybody's like, sweet, I want some.
Yeah. How much? Cool, man. No, that's great. So you want to grow up to 25,000, dude. Love it. And then like, what would you say just to somebody who's like, well, one, who would you say 6K is like good for? I love hearing this from different people because everybody has a little bit different.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, web developers who are like, dude,
Well, the biggest thing I would say, and I don't necessarily think it's web developers, it's anything. I think you need to have, this is my opinion. I know some people disagree, but I think you need to be able to use a computer.
Yep.
If you can use a computer, you can turn it on, you can click the buttons, and you're not afraid to talk to people, then you actually can fit in the system.
Yep.
Because it's not. I look at a lot of the guys in the group that we've heard talk, and I'm looking at my experience. Granted, I've got a sales background coming from the finance world, but I see a lot of the people in the group who don't have that, and I really think it's about someone who's driven to be successful, you have goals, you're able to be driven, self-motivate, and you're willing to learn. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the two biggest things is what I think. I
Yeah.
don't think it doesn't take a super smooth, sweet talker. It doesn't take someone who's just Mr. Amiable and like meets everybody and everybody loves him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, dude, I was thinking about this the other day. 2 years ago, I was living in a fraternity at the University of Missouri as a house dad and working for a campus ministry. So
That's cool.
not digital marketing at all.
No,
And 2 years is, 2 years seems kind of like a long time, but it's not a long time, And
no,
so like again, at one point all I did was know how to use a computer, had a big interest in marketing and just learned it all, the old fashioned way. Just
yeah,
got in programs like this, I read all the blogs, all the books, all the podcasts, and just kind of learned
sure.
it. And yeah, you're right. We're not doing rocket science here.
And I gotta say this, I don't. A lot of people would think that, oh, I can't do it. I have other things that I have to do. I have a job or I have this. I'll just say this. I had my own business when I started, and I had to keep doing the web design because obviously you got to pay the bills. You don't know if it's going to work right away, so you got to pay the bills. But at the same time, I mean, I mentioned this to you. Obviously, I'm engaged, but I'm a single dad with 2 kids. So I'm engaged. My fiance doesn't live with me, so I still live at home. I have 2 little girls, and they're special needs. Yet I'm still able to have the time to go through the program. And I say that to go it's really just about following the steps. I mean, initially I would run my regular business during the day, and at night I'd hop on LinkedIn and as a running, autopilot, I'd have autopilot running throughout the day, and I get on at night and I'm sending my messages, people that have viewed my profile and connected, it's that type thing.
Yeah.
And it works.
That's awesome.
It's just about you just carve out the time in your day to do it, and it works. And I think if you're a self-motivator and you're willing to do that time, and the time is a couple hours at night,
Yeah.
if you're willing to do it, it'll work.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm fired up for you, dude. You got a great business. You're a great dude.
Fired up too.
dude, you're a great guy, man. You're going to crush this thing. So I'm pumped for you here. With that, dude, is there anything that you would say to anybody who's kind of watching this and they're like on the fence, they're like thinking about joining 6K, or they're just not sure if it's fit or whatever? What would you say?
If you're on the fence, I mean, it sounds silly and tacky to say it, but it's just do it. It's simple as that. If you have to put on the money on a credit card, I'm not a big proponent of debt. I don't have any debt. I paid it all off, but put it on the credit card. It's worth it. You have to realize that there's times that you have to invest in your own business. And in this situation, if you're something you're new to and you want to do, you're investing in your future. A lot of people would say if I could give you, if you gave me $1,000 and I would give you a way to make 10 grand a month, or call it just 6 grand. We use 6K, right?
6K
if I
a
could
month.
give you a way to make $6,000 a month and then you give me $1,000, it's a pretty good investment.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done the math. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
But what's 6,000 over a month over 15 years? It's a lot of money.
It's a
I'll
lot.
put it that way.
Yeah.
We have the math majors out here who'll already have it figured out before I finish the question.
They just think we're idiots.
Yeah, I know. But
Dude,
worth
so
the
true.
investment.
Dude, I remember when I first bought, my ever first kind of training program. I was sitting with my credit card at this coffee shop with my buddy, and I just did it like on an impulse. I'm kind of an impulsive guy. I kind of move quick on things, and he just goes, dude, and this is to learn digital marketing like back in the day. And he's like, dude, you're crazy, man. He's like, I hope that works out. And like, fast forward to today, like that was kind of my launch pad, like me like deciding to invest in myself. So
like, hey, buddy, guess what? It worked out.
I know, man. So I'm a huge proponent of investing in yourself and like just taking yourself seriously enough to put some money behind, who you are, like valuing yourself enough to be like, I'm worth some training.
But I do want to say this with that. I want to caution people about always feeling like they have to invest in education. Because you don't have to learn it before you can do it.
And what do you mean by that? Unpack that.
There's a phrase a lot of salespeople, as you're learning and you've been in sales, you hear people say, fake it till you make it. And there is a degree of that goes into business. You can't take time and learn everything that you need to know about digital marketing before you go sell one.
Yeah.
Because guess what? The experience, I say guess what, but the experience is what teaches you a lot of the stuff that you can't learn from a book. You can't learn from a training program. That's stuff that just some of it comes with time. Some of it comes with reading people, stuff like that. What you do want to invest in is abilities in systems that help you get leads in, that help you get business.
Yep.
Because you can learn, I mean, like we have to talk about in the program, and you talk about it in the initial presentation, you can get contractors to do the job.
Yep.
You don't have to learn everything how to do an AdWords campaign. You don't have to learn how to do a landing pages, Facebook ads.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy this weekend whose son was like an SEO guy for some agency.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, he like kind of wants to do his own thing here in a few years, but he feels like he's really learning the skills to do it now as SEO. And then he was like, how did you learn it? And I go, dude, I don't really know it. Like, I didn't.
It's
like,
trial by fire.
I know how to run a business.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do, a lot of particular skills, but you don't have to. We're quarterbacks here. So
Right.
I'm trying to build a bunch of quarterbacks, not a bunch of, individual, labormen. And
Well, the point is, you don't want to work for someone else.
yeah.
You want your own business. And if you want your own business, it's not about learning how to do everything. It's about learning how to delegate to people that know how to do it.
Yeah, totally. Which is a whole different skill set. And,
Oh, it's hard.
It's better for me. That
Yeah.
stuff's hard, man. I'd rather just kind of help manage it and help kind of put it all together.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, very cool, Trent. Well, this has been sweet, man. I love your
Yeah.
business. I love your attitude, dude. You're gonna go rip this thing up, man.
appreciate
So I'm so pumped to have you in the program. You're a great fit for us, and we're loving having you in. So awesome, man. So with that, yeah, those of you guys are watching this, again, you're probably on some page that has more information about 6K Success. But if not, head over to that's number 6ksuccess.com/program. That'll have more information for you. And,
Great investment.
yeah, thanks, dude. and again, yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about it, if you want to start a digital marketing agency, you want to go get higher ticket retainers. I was talking to a girl earlier that kind of doubled her price as soon as she joined. If you want to, we sell retainers about $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 a month type retainers. If you want to do that, then hop in the program, check it out, and we've got a sweet community to support you as well. So with that, guys, Dave out, Trent out, and
Appreciate it.
yeah, appreciate you, Trent. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Sounds good.